Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Coe Show. My name is Mason Coe, here as always with my co-host Aaron Coe.
Hello.
Today is Tuesday, April 13th. Got a lot to cover today. Missed last week, so obviously, going to be a little bit late on some stuff. But before we get into that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Also follow us on Twitter at Mason Charles Coe, Aaron Coe 29. And without further ado, we'll just jump into the sports news.
I don't know who you are, but you're doing a really good job, in place of Mason Coe, who has the mullet. You have
yeah, maybe we should start with that. In
a moment of silence for the mullet.
Yeah, moment of silence for the mullet.
Oh, man. All right, that was
moment passed. Okay. So the mullet is gone. My hair's just
folded to the pressure, the media pressure.
The media pressure made me no. It was it lasted a lot longer than I expected it to.
It lasted a lot longer than mine. Remember we did mullet cast. That was one of our very first episodes.
Yeah.
And mine lasted like about a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just can't. I need a haircut. So yeah, man, you went a long way.
I did. Yeah. No, I'm proud of it. But yeah, so that that's been the big news around the house for the week. But yeah. We'll start talking about some sports news now. Right. Starting off with congratulations Baylor on winning the national championship. It seems like that was like 3 weeks ago at this point, but
yeah, it seems like a long time ago.
But really, what I want to talk about is the game. Well, one of the games before this one, which was Gonzaga at UCLA. Maybe the best basketball game I've ever seen. Personally, the best live game I've ever seen for sure for college basketball, no doubt, for me. So, just the shot making was NBA level shot making. You got Johnny Juzang going out the injury, coming back in, being dominant. And, I just shout out to UCLA for the run they had. Everyone's covered this at this point, so we don't have to go too in depth. But it was a great game.
Yeah, it was. I can't think of a better game. There are a lot of games that have last second shots that are amazing, and that was an amazing last second shot. But what made that game remarkable is that it was back and forth, close all the way. You kind of had the number one overall seed versus a team that wasn't supposed to be there at all.
Yeah.
Really, or a lot of people said that. So there were a lot of things that that went into it. Not just the end. The end just made it, put it into the stratosphere. But yeah, it was an amazing game. And I'll tell you what, Baylor just looked. There was men against boys.
Yeah, I don't. So
yeah,
I
got one right.
Nice.
I picked Baylor to win the tournament.
Wow.
I finally got one right.
There you go.
It's been a very long time since I got one right.
But
I just love their length and their athleticism. I knew it was going to give teams problems in the tournament. And I also love that they had 3 guards that were experienced. I love my senior guards, or at least junior guards. Mm-hmm. And they had 3 guards that were juniors and up. And, every year it makes a big difference in the tournament.
Yeah. So before I talk about the championship game.
Oh, sorry.
What the? No. Because I just found.
Oh,
this.
there it is.
This is the game. This is the game flow of the points in this game, and I'm pretty sure around like 43 of the 45 minutes were within 2 scores.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think it ever got to double digits.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Gonzaga's biggest lead was 7 and UCLA's was 6.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And those leads were all like erased pretty quickly.
It's like yeah.
Like they go up by 7 and back to 4.
Yeah,
so
it went from 6 to, and then Gonzaga went on a run. Gonzaga brought it within 2, like pretty instantly.
Yeah,
so, anyway, the Baylor game, I hate when people say this because in general you just don't know, but it really seemed like Gonzaga was like starstruck by the moment in a way.
Yeah.
Like they seemed tight, and you know, you don't know what they're thinking out there, and
No.
it always seems weird that would just happen. That you just tighten up when you're 29-0 in a national championship game.
Yeah.
But they just didn't seem. I don't know. That wasn't. I think Baylor would have won that game no matter what, but I feel like that wasn't, at least to start, the same Gonzaga team that has been dominating all year and throughout the tournament.
I think the emotions of college students is probably one of the hardest things to predict. So, they have a very emotional, exhausting mentally and physically game against UCLA. And then, they were able to win that. So how do they respond? So they had 2 days was it 2 days?
I think it was 2, yeah.
2 days so, as far as playing in overtime and having to play a few extra minutes, I think they bounced back physically from that.
Yeah.
But there's an emotional toll that takes longer, and it sure looked like coming out of the locker room, they looked a little wide-eyed.
Yeah.
And I didn't see a lot of fire.
None of them were hyped at all.
None of the white guys on the bench
I was
weren't jumping around as much.
I was like this team is either tight and this is gonna go really bad, or they're like super locked in.
Yeah.
But they were tight, and it seemed like they were tight. But yeah.
I think it's hard. It's just hard, and people talk about it all the time, and some people downplay it. But the pressure of being undefeated is brutal. I mean, it's brutal.
I mean, it seems like no one can ever close that out in any high level sport.
And it's hard. I think it's really, and they were able to, they were obviously able to beat UCLA. They just had so many more weapons than UCLA. But I always wondered what would happen, in a close game, or especially if they fell behind, how would they respond? And you just you get this. I mean, any if you've played, little league or anything, you know what it feels like when you're supposed to dominate and supposed to win, and then suddenly you're not. Everything just tightens up.
It feels like you're stuck in quicksand.
Yeah.
In a weird way. But yeah.
So
yeah. Congrats to Baylor though. I mean, it was great.
Do you? Did we talk about this a little bit before? Are you? Where are you on the rooting for Gonzaga scale?
I don't root for him, but I don't know. I just don't. I feel like if UW was more competitive in basketball, I would care about them more.
Yeah.
About Gonzaga, but I just don't I don't care about them enough to hate them.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's like, in a weird way, it's almost like they're not even in the state. So it's like
barely.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't like them, but I also just don't feel enough of a connection there to have actual hate for them.
I don't hate them, but I don't want them to win. It's it's sort of if they had won, it wouldn't have been upsetting to me.
Yeah.
But I'd rather they didn't. And it's funny when you talk, just all the people that I talk to, relatives, friends, people that I work with, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're not rooting for Gonzaga?" I'm like,
yeah.
No, why would I root for them? I have no connection. I didn't know where the hell it was until they got good 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were a neat little story then. But the bottom line is, they're good, and my Huskies are not.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking jealous.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. That's probably 90% of it. But the rest of it is I just whatever. I mean, I
just feel absolutely no connection to them. And I think maybe when you know a lot of people that went to a certain school, you start to feel a connection. I feel my Wazoo hate has died significantly because I keep knowing more and more people that go there.
Right.
And so it's I can't look at a Coug anymore and just be like, fuck you. I can't you know what I mean? Because it's I know so many of them.
That can go either way, because it can almost make it make you dig in more.
Yeah, depending on who the people are.
If they're talking shit.
Yeah.
I think your Coug friends know better.
That's the thing.
But if they win an Apple Cup, you're going to hate them all.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't experienced
that.
that.
No, that's the thing.
The minute they win, they're going to rub it in your face, and you're going to fucking hate them all for a few days.
But
you haven't gone through that
when
yet.
When they're getting dominated, they don't care, though. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, they're like,
whatever.
I don't care until they win. And then suddenly they care an awful lot.
Yeah. All right. Bad news. Jamal Murray has a torn ACL. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Nuggets are starting to go on a run. This is obviously going to have a negative impact on their playoff hopes. I put a little bit of chat on them at the beginning of the year to win the championship. Not looking like that's going to hit now.
Probably not going to happen.
Just all around bad news.
I thought they might. They, like you said, they were getting hot. I thought they might have a chance to get to the finals.
Yeah.
Obviously the Lakers are going to get there if everybody's healthy, but I don't know that everybody's going to be healthy. So if one of the big two are down for the Lakers, I mean, it becomes more open.
Yeah. Speaking of Lakers getting healthy, this was a few days ago, so it seems like AD could return as soon as a week, and LeBron James somewhere around 3 weeks, so around 2.5 now. But they're sitting in the 5 seed. I think they're like 1 or 2 games below the 4 seed, who I think they're one below are they below the Nuggets? I don't know. But anyway, obviously this is big for them. They were in a position where if they fell one spot, they potentially face the Clippers in the first round, which, I think I take them in that series, but that's still
not easy.
It's still not a first
scary.
It's still not a first round matchup you want.
No.
So this is just exciting, good for the league in general. It'll be interesting to see what the MVP race looks like with Embiid and LeBron, because I feel like those are the two that really deserve it this year. I mean, Jokic, you could argue Jokic too, but I think Embiid and LeBron are the two standout cases, and they've both missed fairly significant time. I think if Embiid plays every game from here on out, which to be fair is only like 20, he will have played in 3/4 of the season. So like, where's the cutoff for that? How dominant do you have to be to make up for missing a quarter of the season? Same thing with LeBron. I don't know exactly how many games he's missed, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Excited to see that return. But sadly, a player that won't be returning soon. The young James Wiseman has suffered a meniscus injury. You have experience with a meniscus injury, and
sucks.
My
freaking knee bones look like the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, so you're just rubbing bone on bone.
Yeah.
I think you've talked about it on the pod before, but yeah, Brandon Roy had this too, and obviously ruined his career. So.
There are many different levels of it. Sometimes if it's a small repair, then they're fine. But if they're trimming stuff, obviously they're a lot better at it than they were a few years ago. But it's still, like, ACLs are way better. Like, they take longer, but ACLs come back
stronger.
And you can be stronger than you were before.
Yeah.
But the cartilage, they haven't totally figured that out yet. So we'll see. Kind of seemed like a little bit of a bad draft pick anyway. So it just makes that look even worse now.
Did we talk about that on the podcast?
I think so.
Or was that off podcast?
I don't remember.
I don't know. We were talking
about...
If
we did, it was during the draft, not recently.
Yeah. So I think you asked me what I think Wiseman could pan out to be. Mm-hmm. And I think I said, like, best case scenario, like 15-10.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And a solid, just like a real solid, good role player.
Right.
And I think this, I still am around the same. Like, this doesn't make me think he's going to be like a total bust or anything, but
man, when you're tearing your knees up at this age,
well, yeah, it's certainly. Ugh. I will say it doesn't lower my expectation of him, but it more reinforces my expectation that I don't really think he's going to be a star. And of course, I'm not. Let me be clear. I'm not rooting for injury to like prove a take right. So, but
never root for injury.
Yeah, no, not even. I mean, there's like 2 people I'd be happy to. I think there was the guy that twisted Chris Carson's leg.
Yeah, he can get injured.
I was actually like he tore his ACL, and saying I was happy might be slightly false, but I definitely wasn't sad. So
I don't mind like domestic violence guys getting injured. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, no. If it's just a player on a team that I root against, no, just go beat them. Like be better than them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so some good Warriors news. Steph Curry, 19 points away from the all-time Warriors scoring record. Breaks it in the first quarter. I think
first quarter.
First quarter,
that.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Got 19 in the first quarter, and then I think went on to score like 40 or something, which has been normal for him lately. I think he's averaging 40 in the last 5 games.
Wow.
Or something like that. So, yeah. The Warriors tweet though. This is interesting. The greatest scorer in Warriors history, Stephen Curry. It took Steph about twice the games that Wilt had to break the record.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not really going to argue with this tweet because I feel like it's, I mean, really, there's nothing to argue. It's like, they're just so different. But here's what I will ask.
Mm-hmm.
Who had a bigger impact on the game, Wilt or Steph?
Wilt, but
Wait, hold on. Why?
Well, as far as the transformation of the game or
the game of basketball.
I would say there's two parts to this.
Yeah.
Wilt was during his era was like ridiculously dominant, like more dominant than Jordan, more dominant than LeBron.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You could go on whoever you want to name. No, I think Curry came into the league. And people like Damian Lillard are like, shit. Wow, they're letting him shoot from 30 feet, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if I can do that.
Yeah.
Because Lillard's always been a really great shooter, but you didn't see him.
No, he wasn't pulling from the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't see him start doing that till a couple of years ago, and he'd already been in the league for a while. So yeah, I think we're seeing more of those kind of guys. I hope we don't see too much of it where it gets just everybody's trying to do that. Like, I don't want to see middle school kids.
You don't want to see a 4-point line?
I've wondered how that would have. I think you might analytics. You just see so many of those shots.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, they should do that. I'm like, it's almost like maybe they should get rid of the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like make all the shots the same. And so there's not. Then it takes away the advantage of being behind the line. I would almost go that way now. Like every shot is 2 points. I'm not saying I would do that, but I would probably do that before I had a 4-point line because I don't want to see just everybody jacking from half court all the time.
See, the difference is you're not a middle school kid who loves to see people jacking from half court all the time.
I like it. I just don't want that to be the whole game.
No, I agree. I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah.
But
why would you ever take a 2-point shot if there are 3 and 4-point lines?
Yeah, twice as many points for a guy like Steph Curry. Yeah, no way. But
so if you can make it 28% of the time,
and you're not gonna get injured shooting a 4-pointer, like you will getting hacked at the rim. But especially if you're Steph. But what I will say. The reason I disagree with saying Wilt was more impactful than Steph is because Wilt was so dominant. Yeah. I would argue that Kobe's has been more impactful to just the game of basketball itself than LeBron. Okay. Because no one can just be built like LeBron.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
But Devin Booker, Jamal, all these guys, all of Jason Tatum, Trae Young, all these guys, Kobe was the way they modeled their game. Yeah. You can't model your game after LeBron. You can't model your game after Wilt. Like,
that's true.
You can't be like, oh, just grab 30 boards and
Yeah.
go cherry pick for 100. I mean, I won't say cherry pick, but go,
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? You can't model your game after that. Steph, even though no one can really do what he can do, you can, he's 6'3" and is a great shooter. Everyone thinks, like, I can go out and be a great shooter if I work on it enough, even if it does, even if he does have a special talent that no one else has ever had, you can still be a great shooter just by working on it. And he's 6'3", he's just running around, bouncing around shooting. So
Yeah.
I would say that's a bigger impact than Wilt.
I think you're right. So, when you talk about Wilt Chamberlain, who would you compare Wilt Chamberlain to any time, during or before his era?
Yeah.
And even maybe 10 years after him, no one. LeBron James, who do you physically compare to him? I can't think of anyone. Like somebody that size and that agile with that smooth.
Yeah.
Like, no. Jordan. Now a guy like Jordan, there's plenty. I mean, no, sure, yeah, okay. I don't want to say like, oh, he was just a guy, because of he had some crazy athleticism, but he's like 6'6", 200 pounds. Like there were guys that were as fast as him, and there were things that he could do. But anyway, there were guys that you could be like, oh yeah, he kind of does some things like Jordan.
A lot. I mean, his game wasn't just like running around guys and jumping out the gym. There was a lot of skill. Like there was a lot of skill there, and people saw that, and that's why a guy like Kobe models his game after Jordan,
right?
And not like like Jordan got his game from Dr. J, and you like pass it down, but no one can really just like be like, I want to play like Bill Russell. Like that's not, you could argue that Bill Russell was better at defense than Wilt was at offense. And so like, you can't just be like, another one. No one can just model their game after Shaq.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, we were talking about him because his type of play doesn't you don't see it today.
Mm-mm.
But he was just to be that big and that strong and that agile, like, I mean, he's probably as close to the Wilt conversation as you can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he would be able to play now. But yeah, you're right. There's nobody. I can't think of anybody that like him ever.
So I will say the question is a little like, it can be kind of a misleading question.
Yeah.
Who's more influential? But I would argue Kobe's more influential than Bron. I would argue Steph's more influential than Wilt. I would argue I would argue Dirk is more influential than Shaq.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
just
not I wouldn't say any of those guys necessarily are better than the other guy, but more influential in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a different. I don't know. I would love to know what they do to train, and what they do to practice. I don't mean team practice on their own. I would like to know what they do. Guys like Dame, guys like Steph Curry. What do they do now? And I want to compare that to, two guards from 20 years ago, or point guards from 20 years ago. I think you would find that they strengthen their bodies to be able to take a 35-foot shot.
Their core is insanely strong.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Steph's core is like beefy. Like his chest is tiny. He has tiny little chest. His core like sticks out past his chest.
Yeah.
So that's why he can just heave up a half court shot and make it look like a jumper.
Right. I was, when I played basketball, I was not a very good shooter, but I could shoot pretty much equally from 20 feet or 30 feet.
Like, yeah, me too. Yeah.
I just have a naturally strong core. Mm-hmm. So I think, and people were always a little surprised by that, but I think these guys now are learning to build that up, and they practice quick trigger from 30 feet. And if somebody gives you a step,
now like what specific muscle does what, where and when, and how to train that specific muscle. It's so beyond what it was. I mean, Jordan was like fuck, I'm getting the shit beat out of me. Maybe I should do some curls now.
Yeah,
like that's what Jordan did. Like,
they went
so
to the gym and worked out.
Yeah,
like I do, with no real purpose.
No.
I just want more muscles
Beef.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're gonna be, but I want more of them.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it's like, what exact muscles do I need to improve my jump shot? There was a time, especially with baseball players, where people believed you shouldn't ever work out because it just tightened everything up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think basketball was a bit like that too. A lot of guys didn't work out.
Well, it happens with everyone. Dudes that play are hoopers, especially in high school, not at the higher levels. They start hitting the gym in early high school, and then they beef up and have a terrible jumper. Like, there's a kid that I went to high school and actually went to SDSU with too. He was a solid hooper, but his jump shot was broken by his senior year because he was so massive.
Okay.
And like, he's one of the most cut people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was worth it. But
yeah, you could have my whatever jump shot I have. You can take it away.
Exactly. Yeah, but he was a decent shooter, and then by his senior year, the line would be like even for a 3-point contest between us.
Wow.
That's where we were at. So
interesting.
Yeah. And it happened to me too when I started lifting.
Yeah.
There was a long period of time where I just didn't even touch a basketball, and I was lifting a lot, and I just couldn't, I didn't even know what I was doing. It felt like it was the first time I ever shot. It's so weird, but yeah, and the same thing with pitchers. There's only certain workouts that pitchers do still, because they don't do bench press and certain other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving forward. Got A-Rod and some billionaire that I think made his money at Walmart made a deal to purchase the Timberwolves, although the current owner will continue to have control of the team for 2 years, and then in 2023 they'll take over. Now, I wouldn't put it past A-Rod and a Walmart billionaire to slide the team away from Minnesota, but I probably think it's not going to happen, I would think, maybe, because they just had the number 1 overall pick, and they have Karl-Anthony Towns. So it seems like that's enough to not make a team move.
I've heard some rumors that, they're, did they agree to not move it? I don't know. There were rumors about that, but I don't know if that was true or not.
Does A-Rod like the city of Seattle?
Well,
do we know anything about that?
Would you like a city that booed you every time you came back?
See,
I don't know.
Hey, here's the thing.
I don't know.
Not one motherfucker will ever boo him in Seattle again.
No.
And I think he knows that.
Probably.
I think he understands that.
Yeah.
And I think the people on his team understand that too. So although they're, why would he care about making a city that booed him? Why would he want to do us a favor just to make us love him again?
Because it's doing him a favor, because this is a better NBA city than Minnesota.
That's a good point. And also, A-Rod goes from baseball player that did steroids and got essentially exiled from the league to legendary baseball player that brought a team back to Seattle and is immortalized in NBA history for that. And I mean that. Person whoever brings this team back, whoever's considered responsible for it, will be immortalized in not just Seattle history. You'll have you'll never buy another meal or anything in Seattle again, but also NBA history, you'll be immortalized too. You'll be like, this is the guy that made things right again in Seattle.
I have a list going already, and it starts with Chris Hansen,
who's
probably going to not end up having anything really to do with the Sonics. But he knocked the door open.
Yeah, and and
somebody else is going to run through it.
He was the competition that breeded results. He
made the city get off their lazy asses and do something.
Yeah, it's everyone knows.
He gave us hope.
Everyone knows unpushed government bodies are just never gonna do anything ever, and he pushed them, and that's the reason we're even having this conversation right now.
100%.
So,
That's, so we have a new arena going. I still think Chris Hansen's location was better, but we have a really nice new arena coming in. So put the Light Wikis on the list of people that I'll buy beers for if I were to ever see them.
Yeah,
it's on me.
We're buying billionaires beers to put that in perspective.
Wouldn't fucking bother me one bit.
Yeah, and A-Rod who left Seattle and did steroids. Like, I'm buying him a beer too if he moves the team.
I would take them all to Canlis or wherever they want to go. Like, I'll drop thousands of dollars on billionaires.
We're taking them to Nobu, man.
Seriously, I would do
sushi,
it.
Yeah,
I would do it.
Yeah,
like, it's you're gonna give me however many years left I have of entertainment. Yeah, I'd throw a few $1,000s that I don't have.
Yeah,
with those guys.
Yeah, take out a loan to take them to Nobu.
To take a bunch of rich guys out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat. But yeah, so. Yeah, guys like that are on this list, and A-Rod, I would love to see you on that list. Funny thing about A-Rod, and I think we've talked about this before. There's not one person who wouldn't have left Seattle.
Oh yeah.
He was getting offered like nothing, and Texas gave him $250 million.
I mean, am I wrong in thinking Seattle was absolutely not the city it is now at that point either?
It was emerging, but it
you're not getting
there yet.
You're not getting that money, and it's like this is just a grunge flannel city. Like that's what it is at this point.
It was a great city. I think it's probably come up some since then, but it was well on its way. But the bottom line is the Mariners. I never heard what their offer was, but I don't think it was even half of what Texas was offering.
Yeah.
And his deal, I would argue that he has the best deal in the history of American sports because, there have been bigger contracts since then, but not compare like time. If you throw the time element in there, to $250 million 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. So everybody would have left. A-Rod had a weird thing. I saw it some with Ichiro too, where the city just didn't quite connect with him. He seemed very hollow and shallow. He's an odd dude. He's kind of an odd dude. I mean, I've talked to him before, and he's just like, you're like, is there anybody in? You like look in the eyes, and there's like nobody. There's nobody there.
He seems serial killer-ish.
Yes.
Like, it seems like he stares through you.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like there's nobody. There's not a human in there anywhere. So people just never really connected with him. He would try to answer. He had like ask him, "Oh, you had a tough game today." Push bad game button. Like he would always say the right answer.
Yeah.
Like he would search in a file and give you the answer.
Yeah,
He wasn't difficult. Like he wasn't go fuck yourself reporter guy. None of that. He was like, he would answer questions, but it was just,
like something, dude, something, please.
Yeah. Never said anything interesting.
Yeah. Even at a young age like that too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have the hatred for him in terms of him leaving because I think it's ridiculous because, it's not like he took less money to go to Texas or even took just a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're talking about probably at least $100 million.
Like that adds like 3 or 4 generations to your generational wealth.
Yeah.
Like that's
Now he's buying a freaking NBA team. I know it's not just him, but he's obviously turned his money into even more. So anyway, that would be great. I would rather if you told me if you wait 2 years, 2 years longer, you'll get an expansion team. I would rather do that.
You'd rather that than have Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, but A-Rod is your owner.
I would rather. I'm not even thinking about that. I'd rather have an expansion team than take a team from somebody else.
Okay, yeah.
However,
I do agree with that.
However, if there's even 1% chance more, like if
don't get me wrong. I will swipe that.
I'll take the sure thing.
Yeah.
But if you told me, hey, I promise you, you'll get a team. Even if I had to wait a couple more years, I'd be willing to do that.
It's messy. It's just we've learned it's messy.
I would never want to franchise just because of a player on the team.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because that's very short term.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns is a really nice player. But how long is he going to be good? I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? He might be good for 10 years, or he might, get injury riddled, and 2 years from now nobody knows who he is. Like,
Right.
I'm thinking more of over, whatever,
Yeah.
our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me an expansion team
For sure.
soon, please.
Soon. All right, we got some NFL news for the first time in a while, it feels. Julian Edelman retires after 12 seasons. Now, I was a little confused on how this news was reported, because it was reported that the Patriots terminated his contract, and then it was also reported that he could get some sort of injury incentive based on the new CBA for up to $2 million. So is this motherfucker Bill Belichick really giving him a $2 million send-off by terminating his contract? Is that actually what's happening?
I wish I could remember who else did this, but this is not the first time something like this has happened. But yeah, I think it's like the dude deserves $2 million.
It was a failed physical, actually, because they terminated his contract due to a failed physical.
Yeah.
So did he bomb a physical on purpose to get $2 million? Although he's still injured. Actually, he is. I'm pretty sure he actually is injured.
I'm not sure of the details of the physical, but
Yeah.
this is not the first case I've seen where it was a sketchy failed physical and they got a little bit of a golden parachute.
Yeah.
And it's whatever. It's not my. $2 million.
I don't care.
I think what was weird is people were like, "Oh my God, they cut Julian Edelman." That's what was going around for a few hours, and then it came out that no, he's retiring anyway.
He's retiring.
So,
so this sparked a very heated debate on Twitter about whether he should be a Hall of Famer or not. And particularly the timeline that I recommend checking out if you want to see some Julian Edelman beef is Arif Hassan. He's a Vikings writer that is kind of connected to Seahawks Twitter in a very interesting way. But this is one of the main arguments that I saw him make that I agree with. This is one of the arguments I agree with. So this Pats fan says that Edelman is not a Hall of Famer, but judging on Pro Bowl voting is asinine. And he said it's a fair argument if we're talking about someone who only got a few nods and deserves more, but none in an 11-year career on a team that regularly got nationally televised. No, not even alternates. Bye. And so he was I would recommend going to check out his timeline from yesterday, because it's just funny just to read through it. But I didn't know he was never even an alternate for a Pro Bowl. That's pretty nuts. And also, if you look at his stats, it's he has pretty much what was the receiver they're comparing him to? Jeremy Maclin, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. I saw Hines Ward. He every stat was less than Hines Ward, who wasn't even on.
Hines Ward had a better career. Better numbers career than Edelman. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah. I saw the numbers, and he wasn't even on the ballot, I don't think, the last couple of years.
Wow.
So, this is the debate of should you be able to get into the Hall of Fame for Hall of Fame moments?
Right.
Because he's had several Hall of Fame moments. Yeah. He's had a Hall of Fame playoff career. Does that warrant a Hall of Fame bid? I don't know, because Arif argues that David Tyree should be in the Hall of Fame then because of the helmet. So but David Tyree didn't win 4 or 5 Super Bowls, and Edelman, he had 1 game-winning catch. Edelman, I think, had 2 or 3 game-winning catches.
First of all, he absolutely should not be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's asinine that people are even talking about it.
Okay.
I really feel strongly about that.
Wow.
Now that being said, there's a sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
My general thoughts on the Hall of Fame are, it's regular season numbers that get you in, and the postseason gets you in the discussion for greatest of all time. That's a very, very general. There's a billion exceptions to that, but I think you have to have you. What I really mean by that, you have to have the regular season numbers to justify getting in there. Now there are going to be some guys that had shorter careers that had dominant postseasons and things like that. I think that if you're on the bubble, like those postseason moments, like a Kurt Warner, if he hadn't won a Super Bowl, he probably doesn't get in. Stuff like that.
Dirk's playoff run.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, but that like immortalizes him as like a top 20 player ever.
Edelman, I wish I would have looked up his ranks all time for regular season. The dude had 6,800 yards. It's like 36 touchdowns in his career.
He's in the main categories I saw. He was like, it was like 62, 150th, 195th, and then 250th all time.
It's like, does Jermaine Kearse deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Does Doug Baldwin deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Jermaine Kearse had big moments too.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think just because you're on a great team for a long time doesn't mean you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now,
incredible postseasons, no question.
I will say, it's very circumstantial, but it could get a little hypocritical. And also, there's another sport. When you start talking about Draymond Green, if you think Draymond Green or Andre Iguodala are Hall of Famers, that kind of like that's a similar argument to the Edelman thing. Yeah. And I
don't know, man. I think those guys rank higher up on all-time stats.
Yeah, because I guess Draymond
6,800 yards. There's so many 10,000-yard receivers.
Yeah, because actually, like Draymond had a good stretch of years where he was a legitimate triple-double threat every single night.
Yeah,
which Edelman was by no stretch any whatever you could consider a triple-double threat in the NFL, which would be like what 10, 102.
Right.
That's like a triple not triple threat, triple double. Sorry.
Right.
Triple double of the NFL. He was So when you just think like he is like a Hall of Fame story and he has Hall of Fame moments. So when I first saw that people were so passionately against him being in the Hall of Fame, I was like, that's like, why do people care that much? He's a good player. But I did not realize until I was scrolling Arif's timeline that he really put up no numbers ever. Like, not really any numbers.
There are 49 players that have 10,000 yards, 49 receivers. Well, these would include tight ends also. Although, there's not many of them.
It's like how many receivers should be in the Hall of Fame? Like, you know what I mean? Like how many for the amount of years that there has been football, how many wide receivers should be in the Hall of Fame? I'm telling it shouldn't be 150 because Julian Edelman averages out at around 150 for these stats. No,
Greg Jennings had 8,200 yards. Like, there's so many guys Mike Wallace, do you remember like that?
DK is like a third of the way, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm
Mike Wallace. Yeah.
I'm scanning this list as Pierre Garçon,
7,800
yards.
Yeah.
My God, there's just so many. There's so many guys.
How
many yards did he have?
60.
There he is, 68. So he's 156th, in receiving yards all time. And then he doesn't even really have the touchdowns. He does have the big moments. But to me, great story. Had like no offers coming out of college. Becomes a quarterback at Kent State. No combine invite. They draft him in the 7th round, and Belichick basically says, we don't really know what you're gonna do, but be there for training camp.
Yeah.
We don't know what position you're gonna play, but we like you. And if he gets into, let me ask you this: if he gets into the Hall of Fame, is there is there gonna be talk about race? Him being a white guy?
Oh yeah, I didn't even consider that part of it.
So people,
yeah.
I could name like 50 black guys that didn't get in,
Genuinely, actually, that is I think that does become a component of that because there really is a ton of black dudes.
Oh, he's the wily white, the shifty, sneaky, athletic guy. But he has an interesting story. He's Doug Baldwin is an interesting story. Doug Baldwin was undrafted.
I wish they would create a wing of the Hall of Fame where they have Hall of Fame stories.
Yeah,
where you don't have a bust of the player, but maybe you have just like a picture of of a big moment. Yeah, and you have maybe they even get a plaque where it's just like. Julian Edelman was a quarterback at Kent State and went drafted in the 7th round by the Patriots. And you tell his story, all the big notes, the big parts of his story on a plaque, just in the Hall of, I don't know what you could call it, like the Hall of Moments.
The Hall of Moments.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like there's. Because I don't want Julian Edelman to be forgotten in football history.
No.
Because I think he was impactful, and I think he's just kind of like a cool guy, too, like, in general. And I just feel like it would be a shame if, like, my kid just doesn't even know who Julian Edelman is at all.
And there are guys, his highlights will probably, think about Kirk Gibson, right?
Yeah.
Two of the biggest moments in World Series history.
True.
And, if it hadn't been for those moments, I don't know that I would have barely heard of the guy.
I wouldn't. I definitely
I would have because I'm older.
I might have because I played baseball video games. That'd be the only reason.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have stood out
to you. Actually, he wouldn't have even been in the baseball video games if he didn't have those big moments.
So, I think he'll be remembered for a long time because of those things. But yeah, part of it, his stats thing, though, is he did almost nothing for his first 4 years. He had a couple years there where I think he had single-digit catches.
Oh, man, yeah.
And then, about year 4 or 5, he hit 1,000 yards. I think that was maybe his only 1,000-yard season.
Wow.
So, I don't know. By today's standards, by the time he's eligible for the Hall of Fame, he's going to be like number 200 on the because there's going to be guys. DK might pass him. He should.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, we're going to be bitterly disappointed.
If he doesn't, there's something wrong.
DK could pass him in the next 4 years.
He could
before he's on the ballot.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yeah.
Not a Hall of Famer.
Could
not
pass
even
him in
close.
touchdowns too.
Yeah.
Easily.
He's halfway there already. Dude only had 36. So to me, I was surprised that the Hall of Fame conversation even came up. That's how far against it I am. I'm like, people are actually
I didn't realize
talking about that.
I didn't realize how underwhelming his stats were for his career.
And there are guys like Eli Manning will probably get into the Hall of Fame because he's ranked pretty high in the numbers and he has 2 Super Bowls. Do I think he should be in there? Probably not. But he'll probably get in there before Phillip Rivers because Phillip Rivers has no Super Bowls. So,
yeah, and I understand that.
So
like,
there's no hard line on this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's so far below the standard for regular season that I just I don't think and he had Tom Brady as his quarterback.
And Bill, Okay, moving forward. A lot of Julian Edelman talk.
Yeah, that was probably way too long.
So we got Hideki Matsuyama, not Hideki Matsui. Hideki Matsuyama wins the first Masters for man from Japan. Yeah. There was a female winner a few years ago, or 2, I don't know how long. But also, actually, I think he's the first man from Asia, period, to win a Masters championship. But weirdly enough, I actually watched a little golf and I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
It's not that bad to watch, actually.
I can watch it for a little bit here and there. I did watch.
Great, like all time, probably the best sport to have on in the background, just when you're doing other shit.
Yeah.
Such a great background sport.
Yeah.
Jim Nantz calming voice, just taking you through the day.
Mm-hmm.
Great nap sport too. Great
Yes.
nap sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, I think some of the real golf fans would say that it wasn't, it was probably one of the most lame Masters. Because you have people, people like the big personalities, and obviously this guy doesn't really have that. Very calm dude. And then it almost got tight. Like he fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what's his name? Shoffley?
Mm-hmm. Shoffley, yeah.
Shoffley's going to be right there. And then he fucked up harder twice. He like tin cupped it a couple times.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed watching it. And, one thing, there were some people saying, they were patronizing, talking about Japan caring, they're doing it for Mother Japan or whatever. Like, but here's the thing. I think if you're saying that, you probably don't know that maybe you don't know somebody that's from Japan if you're saying that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we have an American go somewhere and do something for the first time, I remember what's the stupid ass fucking yacht races, America's Cup or whatever. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Just, it's just stuff like that. I mean, you do take pride, especially if it's something that no one's done before. And I understand that a woman,
especially not America.
Yeah.
Like, you say it's especially relevant for pretty much every country except America. Like, Japan particularly, a lot of Asian countries. There's just a lot of pride there, and
It's surprising that a Japanese golfer hasn't won before because it's a very popular sport.
It is,
Japan.
yeah.
And obviously the women have done very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, but this is the Masters. It's a whole different thing. So yeah, it is a big deal to a lot of people in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I don't know. Didn't really know the guys that were in competition for it. The golfer Clitoris or whatever his name is. I might have misspoken there.
Yeah.
Good for him. I'd never heard of him until yesterday.
He's like 24 or something.
Obviously, I'm not a huge golf fan, but I do play a little bit, and I like to watch little bits of it. But I don't like glue myself to my chair and watch it, for 4 days, for 12 hours a day. I can't.
Yeah.
Couple hours maybe, if it's close,
Yeah. What I saw that was interesting was a lot of people were saying like the first Asian man to win a Masters, and I was like, that's interesting to me because, like, I don't know. I feel like isn't it kind of weird to just like identify him as as a person from a continent?
Yeah, I would
like
that's a little silly to me.
But everyone was doing it.
Yeah,
everyone, and I think part of it, like there's the big Stop Asian Hate movement, which is great. But
so really good timing.
It's really good timing, but it's weird to like.
Right.
It's weird to like just classify him as a guy from a continent.
Yeah.
Like,
and some of those Asian countries hate each other.
Yeah.
Some of them were rooting against him hard.
Like Korean people really don't like Japanese people.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yes, it is.
Because Japanese people oppress Korean people.
Yeah.
And Japanese people tried to like invade China. Like, there's a lot of Chinese people that don't fuck with Japanese people.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird to me. But
we have trouble relating to it because we don't feel super threatened by Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
But if Canada was like trying to take us over every 20 years, we would fucking hate everything that they do.
Yeah.
But there are friendly little deer-petting neighbors from the north.
There are some people that think Mexico's taking over and they hate them because of that.
That's why you got to build the wall, son.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, We got some interesting college basketball coaching moves. Brad Evans at Noisy Huevos, which is just a funny Noisy Eggs. As as the ink on Bill Self's lifetime contract just dried, Sean Miller gets axed essentially for egregious recruiting violations. Consistencies and enforcement are sorely lacking in college basketball. So
And football.
and college sports. Sports,
basketball and football mostly.
Yeah.
It's they're just doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't know the extent of either of their things. I know more about Sean Miller because of that documentary.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't fully know that Bill Self was paying kids, but I just kind of figured that everyone was. So I don't know. It's like why are people surprised? Like Rick Pitino's coaching at Iona right now.
Yeah.
Like what? And Sean Miller didn't get canned. He got a fucking assistant coaching job in the NBA.
Yeah.
So he didn't just get fired.
Yeah.
He had another job. Like it's.
Yeah.
Come
He's
on,
gonna
man.
make a lot less money than and his new being an assistant coach than
still though. It's
he'll probably earn his way back. Might be an NBA head coach someday.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Quinn Snyder, he fell down the college tubes and took him a while, but he's back at the top.
That's what it happens to so many people. I mean, like Rick Pitino had to go to fucking Greece, and win a championship.
Someone will
in
hire
Greece.
him, unless he gets too old all of a sudden. But the Bill Self thing. Well, first of all, I was surprised at the scope of some of the things that he's accused of doing it. There's not the evidence that they have, like with Sean Miller, the stuff being on tape and all that, where it's pretty damn obvious.
It's damning.
Did I say Sean? What? Sean Miller.
Yeah, Sean Miller.
I get his brother.
Who's his brother?
He got fired too.
Oh, really?
His brother was at Indiana. Archie.
Oh,
Miller.
I had no idea they were brothers.
Yeah. So Bill Self, like I think it's pretty well known that he did some stuff. I was a little surprised. I'm a little surprised sometimes when the true blue blood places, do things that more like the schools that are trying to come up are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little surprised with Bill Self, but yeah, I mean he gets a lifetime contract. I mean you might want to play that one by ear, guys.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, how long has he been there? Has he?
I think he replaced Roy.
Did he replace Roy Williams?
I think so.
Okay,
so was that about 15 years?
Yeah. Okay, I mean,
he's been there for a while, and he's won.
Yeah.
But lifetime contract. I just don't think you need to do that.
No.
I probably wouldn't have fired the guy, but.
But, what was he going to leave if you didn't? Like, was he going to leave, if you just signed him to an 8-year contract, was he going to leave? Like, I don't get it.
And it's just, I think for a while the NCAA was trying to crack down on things. The stuff that Washington football got put on probation for 30 years ago, like that wouldn't even they would have we're gonna take away 3 scholarships for a year.
Yeah, they would have been we're gonna waste our time investigating this shit. Yeah, right. They wouldn't have even fucking looked.
Yeah, probably. So it's just it's crazy to me. So I don't want to go back to that, but I also don't like it's like everybody cheats.
Yeah.
When my dad was a Jeep racer, everybody cheated and everybody knew that everybody was cheating. Because there were classes,
certain
A through H or whatever. So everybody was down a class from where they should have been, and everybody knew it. And I always said, why don't just everybody come clean now?
Yeah.
And it would be the same. Everything would be exactly the same. Everybody would just move the same amount.
It's like fighters that cut 20 pounds the day before a fight. It's like, why doesn't, instead of both of you cutting 20 pounds before a fight, why don't you both move up a weight class, you fucking dummies?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel that this way about college sports a lot of times. Like, you don't need to, just everybody be on the same playing field,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's probably kind of cheating.
Yeah.
Everybody just either change the rules so what you're doing is allowed, or nobody cheat anymore, and it just I don't know. It's just getting out of control. I wonder if the NCAA will even really exist for college football and basketball, or whether the Power 5 schools will just be like, we're doing our own fucking league now.
I hope that at least becomes a real major threat.
Yeah.
Because then, similar to Chris Hansen with the Sonics and the city, it'll kind of hopefully give a little kick in the butt to the monopoly that is the NCAA and push them to actually have to make changes for the better instead of just coasting on the fact that they have the monopoly. I mean, that's what it is. They do.
And it's just crazy. I mean, just the scheduling even, like,
Yeah.
One thing you could say about Gonzaga is it's really hard for them to get a quality opponent in their gym.
Mm-hmm.
Really impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Virtually impossible.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to basically preseason tournaments, so they don't play anybody. In the year that they are in the tournament, they haven't played anybody in that calendar year.
Yeah,
They've usually played them in December.
Yeah.
Because the NCAA just lets all the schools do whatever the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
So in football, some conferences play 8 conference games. That's why you have the SEC playing frickin' Liberty State or whatever,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, rant, but I just, it's a mess.
Yeah, no,
I don't know when it's
that's
gonna
fine.
end.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully soon. All right, well, I guess let's move forward to some we'll move into our Seattle talk now.
Okay.
James Paxton has recommended Tommy John surgery. I don't know. Do you know if he's doing it?
It's been confirmed that he's out for the year.
Okay.
All they've said is left arm surgery, but they haven't specifically named the surgery.
But if it's been recommended, you would think that's the one he's getting.
Probably.
Right?
They just haven't announced it.
Yeah.
My guess, sometimes they go in there and see what they see before they exactly figure out what they're doing. I'm sure we'll find out that it was Tommy John.
Yeah.
It has not been officially announced, but he threw 24 pitches. That's that was it.
Yeah.
I was hoping. We all knew he wasn't going to pitch the whole year
in
in Seattle, right?
Yeah. He was missing at least 5 starts.
Yeah, so either he was going to pitch well and get traded, or get hurt. But I think what the Mariners wanted is, if he could just give us a month.
Yeah.
And then we can bring up a couple of the guy, the younger guy, who I can never remember their names, but they've got a couple of pitchers that they feel really good about, that they want them to get a few minor league starts. So now you're going to end up just pitching another guy. It's kind of like, who's the fucking guy that was in left field the other day instead of Kelenic?
The whole,
don't look up his name, because you're never going to see his goddamn name
that's
again.
The thing. Like, I didn't even, like, I don't have space in my brain for that dude's name.
No.
Like,
so that's what we're going to get, because they're going to stick to a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
So you're going to, I forget the name of the guy, Margus Sitch or whatever the hell it is.
Who cares? Yeah.
They're going to do the same thing. They don't want to bring up one of their young guys.
Yeah.
So they're going to throw in a middle relief guy, and he's going to eat ass, and then, we're going to, bring those guys up later on. So they were hoping Paxton could give them, give him a
Just
month
a
or
solid
two.
month, yeah, but
and he gave him 24 pitches. And hey, I feel bad for the guy. A lot of people were shitting on him on Twitter or making fun of him. He's an oft injured guy. No, I wouldn't want to sign that guy to a big contract, but I don't enjoy it or take pleasure in a guy ripping up his fucking elbow.
Yeah,
like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
when,
not like, that's so funny.
When it's his like how he makes his living, especially, it's
No.
All right. Well, I was a week late on the Taylor Trammell pick.
Yeah, because that looked really bad last week.
It looked really, really bad last week and really good this week.
Yeah.
But since we didn't record a podcast in between, I'm just gonna take credit for it.
You're gonna count it. All right, fine. I'll give you. You need one. I'll give it to you.
Mariners are 6-5 with a -11 run differential. So
did they lose their second game today?
I forgot they played a doubleheader.
Playing like now.
Yeah, they are playing like now. I timed this podcast pretty bad, but They won.
down.
They won the first one
Yeah.
and lost the second
Oh, they
one.
did lose. Okay.
They won. Oh, they won into extras in the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one they lost by one. Okay, but anyway, baseball season is underway. We're moving. It's exciting to have just another sport available to view. And yeah, I mean, we're early enough in the season to where I'm not really taking any stats or standings into account super heavily, but Mariners are 6-5, sitting a game back from first place. So I mean, minus, except we have a, compared to the Astros, we have a minus 28 run differential.
Oh my
Yet
gosh.
they're 6-4 and we're 6-5. So
Wow.
they have plus 19 and we have minus 11. So or minus,
Wow.
so I'm minus 30 actually. So it's seeming like like a lot of what's happened the last few years, where it's like, okay, we're winning, but we shouldn't be. When's this gonna stop? That's what it feels like.
I'm not gonna get excited about it.
Yeah.
And, I think that some of the young guys, it's good to see Trammell coming on.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see Seager, not a young guy, but good to see Seager playing well. I'd love to see him have a decent final year.
Yeah.
But the guy that's still killing us is that damn first baseman,
Evan White. Yeah.
Evan White. It's just I looked, I think yesterday, and I think he was hitting 120.
Yikes.
I think they moved him down the order. I think he was hitting like 7th or 8th today or something like that.
Okay.
I was gonna look at that. Let's see. Here we go. I got it here. Yeah, 120. He's still hitting 120.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you think about starting extra innings with a runner on second? Because you brought this up, and
You go. I want to hear what you say. You're the true baseball player.
I flip-flopped a little on this because as a hitter, that prospect sounds exciting, but the reason scoring runs in baseball is hard is you need multiple people in a row to do things that they are statistically unlikely to do.
Yeah, that's true.
You need a guy to get on base,
Yeah,
whose on base percentage is less than 50%. You need a guy to get an extra base hit or just a single whose average is less than 30% or 32% or whoever, if it's a really good hitter.
Yeah.
Less than 32%. And you need those things that to compound and happen in a row, which makes that 50% and that 32% together turn into, like, I don't know the math, but 16% maybe.
Yeah,
because it's 50.
Probably about right. Yeah.
So I don't like it because it turns like a 16% thing into it doubles, triples your chances. And it's not like, at that point, it's not really baseball. Like you're not, the whole point, the way I heard, I think Dallas Braden describe it is you build a baseball game.
Yeah.
You build a game through, a guy has a 10 pitch at bat and then gets out. That's still a somewhat useful at bat in the long run of the game. When you just throw a guy on second and then a guy hits a single and the game's over, that's like separate from the game. That's like a one-on-one matchup.
Right.
Which baseball is full of one-on-one matchups, but it's cumulative to a team matchup. Whereas if you just start with a guy on second, it's like, okay, hopefully the guys you have coming up to the plate are your three best hitters because it's one-on-one. And whereas now it's like, it's essentially, I don't want to say 1-on-2 because that makes it sound like the hitters have an advantage, but you have, the pitcher has more chances it's essentially 2-on-1 for the pitcher because they have more chances to not have a guy score even if something goes wrong.
Right.
So I think it's anti the essence of baseball, in my opinion, although it does speed up the game.
Yeah, God, there's so many layers to this for me. I mean,
Yeah.
one, if I'm attending the game, I like it because
Yes.
I want to get the fuck
yeah.
out of there.
Yeah. Because we saw that 14-inning game
my
where a
God.
dude pulled his hamstring on the first pitch because it was super cold and people were cold and it causes injuries too. So that's another point is it causes injuries. We saw a 14-inning Mariners game. We were nosebleeds in the wind, cold with our grandparents. And
we were like the only people left.
We were like the only people left. And this dude, so there's a pitching change. This guy has to get all warmed up.
Well, because a guy gets hurt.
A guy gets hurt, and so it takes him forever to warm up.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there waiting for him to warm up. Pitch 1 or 2 or 3. It's one of the first.
It was 3 or less.
It was one of the first 3 pitches. Yeah. He gets injured too. So it's a 14-inning game where you're essentially watching like. You're watching like 30 minutes of warm-up pitching during the 13th inning, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And we couldn't leave at that point.
Yeah, we were committed.
Deep.
Like either you need to cut it at the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, we're out of here. I don't care. Or maybe you give it 1 inning, one more inning. But when you get to the 13th inning, you're camping out, man. Like you can't leave that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I'm there, I like the rule. This has nothing to do with anything, but as a coach, a select softball team that I coach lost a state championship with that being the way you play extra innings. Mm-hmm. So lost a state championship. They were able to bring the run in, and my team was not. Mm-hmm. And I will always believe we would have won if it wasn't for that stupid ass rule.
Well, I benefited off this when I was playing for the Bandits. When we played, it was my team versus the other Bandits team. I think I would say it was the best defensive play of my career that game. The reason there was a guy on second, I made a diving catch in left that like saved a run. The reason there was even a guy on second was because of that rule.
Right.
There wouldn't have even been a guy on second if it weren't for that. Yeah. So the team benefited from that, and I personally did because if there wasn't a guy on second, I'd probably just sit on that and let him have a single because there was no fence. So that ball, like if I don't catch that, the game's over. Like the game was over if I don't catch it.
Yeah, I mean it was like you had to take the risk.
I had to take the risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I benefited from that, but I still think it's dumb. I always rolled my eyes when I was in it. Whenever that happened when I was playing, I was like, and the only time I would ever be excited is if I came up to bat with that runner on second.
Yeah.
That's the only time because just like I said, I'm a hitter. Or I was a hitter. That
a base hit and you win the game.
That's and that's just exciting. But that almost never happened. So it was just dumb.
Yeah, and then another reason to like it is, what it does? It forces people to. A lot of teams are gonna get a bunt down in that situation to get the runner over to third. Yeah. So suddenly we're playing baseball again, which.
Do you want to win a game on a David Ortiz bunt down the third baseline because there's a shift on? Like, is that how we want to win a game? Like,
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think there are other things that maybe baseball should change to speed up the game, rather than just speeding up the end. I don't think speeding up the end of the game is the most important thing.
Because that's the interest. That's where the tension is. Yeah. You build the tension all game through what people consider a boring process of throwing balls and strikes and foul balls and what did this guy do last at bat? Yeah. You build the tension for that moment, and then you just completely change the circumstances of the moment.
It also. I haven't heard a lot of talk about this, but one of the things it does, it really changes the game in a couple of ways. So I've heard people, there's such an advantage to being up last. Maybe not. If you get your run in, so you score that runner from second base, and then you go out and play defense, and you're trying, you're trying to hold that runner from scoring. I'm walking the guy.
Trying to turn two.
Because I know that I just can't allow the run to score. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking a lot more about walking the guy, especially if I was able to score 2 runs. I don't know.
And imagine if there's a guy on second, you walk a guy, and then you turn, you get a strikeout and then turn a double play. It's like you made that team lose the game because there was a guy on second.
It's harder to bunt too because you now you got to force play at third.
Yeah.
So you better get that bunt's got to be better.
Yeah.
Than So anyway, I to me, it sure puts pressure on that other team if you can get your run in.
Yeah, for sure.
They're gonna have to. I don't know. I don't really like it. I just think it's kind of weird. I probably will get used to it if they do it forever. Like I'm not like cursing at it, but I just think it's kind of like find other ways to speed up the game. Find other ways to make the game more interesting.
For sure.
Than the end of the game when people have gone to bed anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I want you have a couple UW football notes here, and I take pride in not paying any attention to UW football until the season starts.
Right.
So
yeah, I have a problem.
Yeah. So the first note you have is UW blocking Garbers. Now I read a headline about that, and I still don't really understand what's going on. So I don't know what this means.
So there's really, so the NCAA used to pretty much make kids sit out a year when they transferred, and then they became inconsistent about it. So one guy gets to play right away, Justin Fields or whatever. Another guy doesn't, and nobody knows really why. But the Pac-12 still has a rule where if Garbers transfers out of UW, petitions to play right away at UCLA, UW, part of the process is UW has to say, yeah, we're good with that. And UW said, no, we're not good with that. And a lot of people, I see you balk at that a little bit. To me, you know what, dude, transfer to another conference. That's kind of
okay.
If you're gonna,
okay, yeah.
So a guy UW has had a couple guys transfer out, okay, from the quarterback position in particular. So, who's the guy that we make fun of sometimes?
The guy we make. There's a lot of guys I've made fun of.
He's, I don't know, like he's got a sister and stuff like that.
Jacob Sermon.
Yeah. So, him transferring out, yeah, dude, I get it. Like you clearly were never gonna play at Washington.
Yeah.
You're never gonna start. They showed you multiple times that you were not gonna be the guy. Garbers was a true freshman last year, and bolts, and people were surprised because there were a lot of people who thought he had a realistic chance to compete. Now maybe the coaches said, "You're probably not. I can't look you in the eye and say you got a real shot here."
I remember you saying that you thought Garbers had a shot.
I really did.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
The dude was amazing during high school, and I heard a lot of good things. Next thing I know, he's transferring. So he was a true freshman. Dude, pick another conference to play in. Like I don't like him staying in the same conference when he's still. It's not like Sermon where you're like, whatever, we don't want him anyway. But this guy we wanted, and now he's gonna go to a school in the conference and play right away. Now it sounds like the Pac-12 is probably gonna change that rule, and I think it's gonna be a fucking free for all.
I think
here on.
But
I don't like that the school. Here, let me put it this way: why does UW have any input on this at all?
So that's what I'm gonna say.
But if I have input on it, I'm gonna say go to another conference, motherfucker.
I understand what you're saying by you don't like him going to the conference, but you shouldn't be able if I leave a company and go work for another company, you shouldn't be able to.
Well, if you signed a non-disclosure agreement,
Yeah,
I got one of those in my insurance industry. There's certain stuff I can't do because of my former company. But no, this is different. This is different.
You
but
can't but people don't do if you took another job, no one's gonna say you can't
if you signed an agreement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the the point is, people move jobs all the time.
Yeah.
People move jobs all like. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not talking specifically about insurance. Like I don't
a lot of businesses. Though.
Okay, whatever. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to make a point. Just let me make a point.
Make a better point.
No. People move jobs. Like
They do.
people move jobs within the same industry
McDonald's
all the time.
doesn't care if you go to Burger King.
So so it's just like he's not there anymore. You shouldn't have any say on what he does.
I agree. I don't think it's up to the school. It shouldn't be up to a school that a person leaves from. However, if you're going to leave it up to the school, I'm going to say, wish you well, but if you want to play right away, go to out of our conference.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't have a problem with. But I think that's like I said, it's all going to go away anyway. It's a lot of people are shitting on UW because of this, which I kind of get, but there's not any. John Wilner, again at Wilner Hotline on Twitter, great follow if you like the Pac-12. He could not find one player who left a Pac-12 school and played the next season at another Pac-12 school.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't know that was that uncommon. Most
guys leave the conference or they sit out the year. But for some reason it's getting publicized. Well, Garber's this all came out because Garber's retweeted a thing from his high school coach said, "Oh, UW's blocking." And then Garber's retweeted that. But I don't think Garber's was going to play for UCLA this year anyway. It's probably a moot point. But anyway, it's just a weird thing. Like either allow everybody to transfer with no penalty or make them sit out a year. Like college football wide. Don't make it conference by conference, case by case.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck you do, make it the same. There used to be a rule, actually, if you transferred from a conference school, from a Pac-10 school to another Pac-10 school, you had to sit out 2 years. Like, they really didn't want you moving inside the conference.
Okay.
So it's just, like, why is it different everywhere? That's my biggest thing about it. So we spent way too fucking long talking about Garbers.
Yeah, I don't...
He'll probably never fucking play anyway.
Yeah, I don't... who cares?
It's just weird. So UW receivers.
Yeah.
They lost I won't go deep into this. They lost a few guys who... UW has had so many 4-star recruits that they won recruiting battles on that have turned out to be nothing. They've had this long list of guys that have been kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
So they lost a few of those guys. They bring in a couple of guys who should help them right away. I think they brought in more than they lost, but the receivers are looking like shit at practices from what I'm hearing. I'm hoping that's because our defensive backs are just that good.
That's a good spin. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think in that case, this calls for
the
Howard Schultz Clown of the Week.
The Clown of the Week. Yes.
All right. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first because mine's still coming up.
Okay. So I don't know why this is a thing. It's a little weird to me, but Kevin James is going to be playing Sean Payton in a Netflix movie. I thought this was a joke at first. The movie's going to be about Sean Payton's time coaching his son's 6th grade football team in 2012 when he was suspended from the NFL. So my clown of the week is whoever decided to make this and anyone that approved it, and also the casting director for putting Kevin James as Sean Payton.
The mall cop.
What? Is there any similarity, like personality-wise or looks at all?
They both have a double chin.
Okay, that's great.
That's about it.
Yeah. But it's even like a different, like Sean Payton has like an old man chicken double chin, where Kevin James is a fat guy double
just
chin.
It's
a different it's even a different double chin. So yeah.
Wow. I like Kevin James, but him playing a football coach is not what I'm looking for.
Nah. Yeah, I think Kevin James is a little past his. I think his moment is past as well. I think,
Yeah, he had a good run.
He had a good run.
Yeah.
I think, let's start casting other people than Kevin James,
Lordy.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
After Mall Cop 2, I think it's kind of tough to justify putting Kevin James in just about anything. But, yeah. All right, who do you got?
So I'm gonna name two real quick because I had one last week and then I decided it was too old.
Okay.
And it kind of is, but J.D. Davis, baseball player, said that didn't know if he was gonna get a vaccine or not because it's a personal choice. I just didn't like that message. Go get the goddamn vaccine.
Just get it.
Jesus Christ, people.
Just get it.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. I got my first shot, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I got one
Congrats.
more coming. Yeah. Yeah, so you can breathe all over people's asses if I want to. My clown of the week, and this is kind of a classic. He's a guy that you could call it the
perennial.
You could call it the Roger Goodell.
Oh yeah. He's one of our our perennial clown of the week.
Yeah, he
candidates.
gets the it's like the Lifetime Achievement Award. We should hand out a few Lifetime Achievement Awards. Lifetime clowns.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so there's a thing going on in the NFL right now where they're starting to they call them OTAs, organized team activities, I think is what it stands for. Mm-hmm. And some of these are optional. Some players get bonuses for them. There's only one Seahawk that gets a bonus, and that is the safety that came from Detroit.
Quandre Diggs.
And it's only because the Detroit put that in his contract. Seahawks don't put that in contracts. So Quandre gets $100,000 for being at this. So, so the players are starting to boycott these because there's a safety concern. You're going to bring people in all over the country to work out. Essentially.
Yeah.
And to me, this is another. I think it. Like if this were again the NBA. What's that commissioner's name again?
Silver. Adam Silver.
Mr. Big Ears.
Yeah.
He would have nipped this in the bud and said, "Hey, we're not going to do those." Mm-hmm. Your safety is super important to us. We're going to do our Zoom shit. We know you guys can all find a gym. You all have your own workouts anyway. Back in the day, players didn't work out much in the off season and they would show up and work themselves back into playing shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
No.
Most guys, they're already in shape. You don't need these things.
Yeah.
Nip it in the bud, set an example for the public. I just it's another tone deaf thing by the commissioner where you gotta understand your players and don't fight these little stupid battles. Just let them have that W. Yeah. Move on to bigger stuff.
For sure. All right. Do you want to do locker player first?
Lock of the week is Heat. Maybe it's already started. I don't know. Heat plus 3.5. I forget who they're playing.
Okay.
But the Heat are hot.
The Heat are hot. That's really funny because...
Shit.
I
take it back?
No. I have the Heat -4 on tomorrow.
Oh, we like the Heat.
Yeah, Heat -4 tomorrow. They're playing the Nuggets, who just lost Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
And we'll snake draft this if you don't mind.
Go for it.
And however, this is slightly contradictory, I suppose. My player of the week is going to be
the person filling
Mr. Anti-Vaxxer, Michael Porter Jr.
Oh my gosh.
He's just gonna have a ton of shots, and
somebody's got to score those points.
He's never gonna. Yeah. He never sees a shot he doesn't like, except for the vaccine. So, yeah. So I think, he puts up as many shots as Jokic a lot of nights. So I think he's just gonna absorb a lot of those Jamal Murray shots. Jokic is going to continue to look for a pass before a shot, and in some cases, which I think harms his team and his own game, but that will benefit Michael Porter Jr. And give me him as the player of the week. All right, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Marco Gonzalez.
Okay, I like it.
He has really struggled.
A little bounce back.
His first couple of starts. I think he's gonna end up having another solid season.
Good.
I think it'll start. I think he pitches on Thursday.
Cool.
I think it'll start on Thursday with a solid outing where he 7 innings, 2 runs, that sort of a thing.
Nice. All right, I like it. Well, in that case, do you got anything else?
No.
Okay.
I do not.
Well, then I suppose it is time for us to head out. Solid hour and a half here today.
Ooh.
I guess that's what happens. That's what happens when you miss a week. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, I don't know why, but you're dope. Make sure you do all the YouTube shit. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter.
Frickin' do it.
Just do it at Mason Charles Coe, at Aaron Coe 29. Also, the ebook is on Amazon and Lulu.com. You can find it in a bunch of different forms. And then yeah, Goosehead Insurance, Aaron Coe, hit it up. All right. With that being said, deuces, y'all.
See ya.